Hey guys, welcome back to Lakeview Car Channel. In the last video, we started ripping the interior apart, started getting in here on our 300ZX daily project, or Project Daily, whatever you want to call it. Started getting the interior just to get familiarized, see what's missing, see what's broken, see what we need to replace. So far...
That's pretty broken.
Yeah, that she is indeed borked. So far we're going to need a few various trim pieces, some carpet. Got to figure out what's going on with the cluster because that still doesn't work. The power seat, we did a little more diagnosis off camera. It is borked. We got some jumpers in there. There was a connector that was undone. There's a broken wire. But we plugged everything in, and the recline just makes noise. It just spins. So something's broken. We couldn't get the seat to actually move forward or back, so we're going to try and just yank it out and maybe try some diagnosis outside the car, see if we can't troubleshoot and see what's going on. Other than that, everything's looking pretty good, other than that clunking that I felt on my test drive when I drove it. So every time you shift, every time you push the clutch, basically get on the gas, get off the gas, there's a clunk. There's a noticeable clunk in the back. We were told it's diff bushings. We're pretty dang sure it's going to be either diff bushings or subframe bushings, something in the back here. So we're going to jack the car up and take a look under there. Peep the HKS high power mufflers, my guy. Ooh, baby.
How do they sound, Liam?
Sound pretty good.
Yeah?
Got some sort of eBay header going on the front too, and I'm pretty sure there's no cats. It's a little droney inside, just for my little test drive, but sounds pretty good, honestly.
All right, everybody. Got the Z up on the jack stands, and Liam is under here.
Hello, viewers.
Wrenching.
So, to get the diff out, we're gonna have to pull this little cross member that goes under it, and to do that, we need to pull the exhaust. So we're gonna yank the exhaust off real quick, and we'll get moving on this.
How we looking, Liam?
Well, the one-piece drive shaft that was fabled to be in here is here, so that's super cool. There's no play in the U-joints. It looks pretty dang new, so that's rad. The question on the diff bushings is no longer a question.
Oh man.
Yes, sir. Found the issue. So
Wow.
Yeah. Let's break this drive shaft loose and keep trucking.
Pull it out.
All right, there she is.
There she be.
Let's get some light on this. Oh boy, yeah,
She's pretty leaky, huh?
she's crummy, that's for sure. Wow.
Yes, scrape the grime.
Yeah.
Well then, it's out. So, hopefully next up, we are taking the bushings out. That should be the next thing we do. Let's get to it. Yes, that'll be a couple days away, as we are currently without bushings. Because,
Stop saying that.
stop exposing us?
Yes, because we're going to take the bushings out, but then it'll be a different clip when we put them in.
I see.
Different day.
Yeah, so they won't be fooled by the fact that we're going to be wearing different clothes. No, they're not going to be like, oh, you know, this was later.
Okay, so I ordered the bushings. They're not here yet. We're at least going to take these out, and hopefully within the same video, we will have this done.
All right, Liam. So, how are our bushings?
They're there. They're present. So, me over here thinking we might need some tools to take these out. Might need to, I don't know, get some sockets and hammers. I just started fiddling to scrape some grease, and well, one piece came off. And then I went, well, maybe. Oh, well, next, and then. Yep. Okay. Well, it's done. So I guess I'll do both sides while I'm here. And easiest bushing removal ever. We're gonna go ahead and power wash it. And I'd be surprised if there's any oil left in here. To be honest with you.
Good thing we didn't drive it home.
Correct. So
Next clip is probably us cleaning this up and getting all this grease off, and we're all gonna replace all 3 seals for the shafts, and then the rear
cover,
the
and then
cover gasket, that one, yeah.
And then we'll probably spray it with some nice black spray paint.
Paint her black just to make her look nice.
Refresh the diff, do a little bit of diff refreshing out here.
That way we just don't have to worry about it until we're ready to put some sort of limited slip in there or something like that. So, all right. Hey guys, so it's been a couple days. We actually went ahead and power washed the diff off, got most of the grease and the dirt and whatnot off of it. We're working with some limited tools here, kind of impromptu. I got some gaskets in the mail, so I figured we'd at least do a couple. So we cleaned it off, we popped this back cover off real quick, and currently I'm just cleaning off the gasket. I'm using a razor blade, being very careful of course, and scraping like so to remove gasket, make sure there's a nice clean surface for our new gasket. This one wasn't actually leaking, but I figured since it's out, you know, might as well change all of them to make sure it just doesn't leak. That would just be silly if we took it all the way out and didn't replace any of the seals. So I'm gonna keep cleaning this. Still gotta do the back cover. We might get to these seals for the stub shafts here, but that is unlikely, so we'll get back to you. So we completely forgot to film taking the stub axle out, but we got the stub axle out. We removed the old seal. I tapped the old one in there. So we're gonna go ahead and put the axle back in.
How do we do this, Liam?
Well, it's very precise.
Is it?
It is. You'll be very surprised at how precise I'm being when I do this.
Alright, so you need a block and
Okay, if it doesn't go easy, something's probably wrong. Bigger hammer.
always a bigger hammer.
Probably the move. There it is. You'll notice I left the dust shield off. I am planning to omit this part. I don't think it really does anything. And if my ABS stops working, oh well. It's it's a crummy 90s car, so ABS wasn't that great to start with anyway. Alright guys, so we are back at the shop. We got this thing cleaned up as much as I'd like. We did omit those dust shields like I was saying. We got all the new seals put in. This one gave us a hard time. Bucci, you want to tell the viewers about the fun that you had replacing my pinion seal?
I had so much fun, guys. It was great. 10 out of 10. Recommend for sure. No, none, not at all. So, so this nut here is a 27 mil. This nut technically does not set bearing preload. Those of you that have taken differentials apart kind of know. So there's a pinion in here that drives a ring gear in the back of here, and that is, you are connecting your drive shaft to the pinion, which then drives the ring gear, which drives your wheels. Now, this seal was the seal that was leaking. So all those other seals that we replaced that was just good to replace because it was out weren't the culprit. The one that was actually the culprit. Oh, and by the way, these seals were fine. Ordered them. They came in. They were the right ones. This one, I ordered 3 different seals. And as they say, the third time is the charm. So the third seal I ordered was the right one. So we initially ordered one off of Rock Auto. That was the wrong seal. So I believe that part number is 710211. That is not for an NA 300ZX. I then looked up on Z1 Motorsports a differential pinion seal. I grabbed the OE part number, the quote OE part number that they had listed for a non-turbo. It ended up actually being the turbo one that got ordered. So I then called our local Nissan dealership again, got the part number off of the one that is correct to this car, ran that part number on a couple aftermarket like stuff like O'Reilly's Advance, found one at Advance, picked it up, put it in. So now we're all sealed up. Torquing this nut here is technically not supposed to set your pinion bearing clearance. However, I did torque it down in the middle of the torque spec range to 145 foot-pounds, the spec being 137 to 159, and it didn't turn. So I backed it off with my impact, and I got it to turn, and I had kind of gone through and felt it out just a little bit. So I have it torqued down to 137, which is on the bare edge of the low side of the spectrum. So I'm hoping that doesn't have any ill effects, but it does feel a little, quote, crunchy.
We're hoping that will go away once we throw some fresh gear oil in there.
Yeah, that's our hope. If it doesn't, luckily that's actually going to be simple enough to reach in the car. So we'll be able to retorque, torque to a different spec. All data might have had the wrong torque spec.
Something like that.
So we've got a couple options there. It's not going to be detrimental if we throw it in like this with some new oil. Hopefully, because tapered roller bearings can take quite a bit of abuse.
They sure can. So you'll notice here, I was doing this quick test. You know, turn one flange, and if the other one turns with it, it's LSD. But if the other one turns opposite, it's an open diff. That doesn't apply to viscous limited slips because of how they work. So this is an OEM Nissan viscous limited slip. Basically, there's some fancy silicone in there that it firms up as it heats up. So as there's different speeds going on the wheels, the silicone heats up and they get bound together a little bit, kind of like a torque converter inside of here. But I don't know if it works, but it's still a differential. So we will see how it works out. We're gonna go ahead and fill this up with some fresh fluid. Then we're gonna work on getting the stock bushings out of the subframe, and then we'll throw it all back together. Typically you crack the fill plug first, because if you drain it out and then can't open the fill plug, you're kind of stuck. You know, you can't fill it back up. So I guess he already got them out, no big deal. I'm just gonna go ahead and pop the fill plug out then, and we will fill this up with the recommended amount of Diff fluid. Roll. All right, Nick, how was your big whiff of gear oil right there?
It's not good. I would not recommend it.
Yes, I could probably go the rest of my life without ever smelling gear oil, and I would be happy. But that's all right. Ooh, baby. It's a good sound.
If you guys want to know how gear oil smells, think about that noise and think about what kind of smell would come after it.
I like that. Just
Sulfur.
Just what it smells like. Oh. Okay,
No!
I guess it's 1.8 quarts. The internet lied. So that's fun. So yeah, typically this is how you fill a diff. You actually fill it until it just barely starts to drip out, and then you throw the cap back in. And we did make sure that this is nice and level. So yeah, this should be the proper level of oil.
So when you're doing poly bushings, if you don't want a ton of noise, they come with silicone. So put it on. And putting these in is pretty kick.
So yeah, there was a metal sleeve that goes inside of this housing right here. And that metal sleeve obviously would have been attached to some rubber, and that rubber would have been attached to another metal sleeve, and that is what bolts into the car. So these, you punch out the metal sleeve, and then the bushings just replace it. They're so stiff. It's really hard to convey. They look soft on camera, but it's really hard to convey how stiff these are. There's almost...
Listen.
Oh. Yeah. Almost plastic. I like that test. That's a good one. And I want a nice cruiser. And I also don't want squeaky bushings every time I roll down the road. So these are probably the only poly bushings going on the whole car. And that's because I think these are they're not the only thing that they make anymore, but they were 18 bucks. I mean, you can't go wrong with 18 bucks. And like I said, all the vibrations got to go through the subframe bushings anyway, and those are still stock. So we should be good. So we got our washers cleaned up. No more rubber on there, because it's all on here.
Oh.
Check it out. Are you filming?
Yes.
Don't get it on my face. Come on. All right. So these are the OEM bushings. Obviously, they're in the subframe, but they mount the diff. The two studs on the back of the cover go through these bushings right here. You'll notice our nice little self-clearance mark from one of the last clips. We had to get a hammer in there just to get the socket on this nut. So, anywho, let's try and we need to get the cups out. The cups are going to be reused with our new bushings, and then we have to get the old rubber piece out. Well, I just popped this out with my fingers, so hopefully the rest of it goes easy. I'm gonna let Bucci take that, and he can clean that up. I'm gonna try and get this other one out. Okay, this one's gonna give us a little more trouble, but it's
Not that much more.
It's definitely loose, so I'm gonna
pound on them with my knot chisels, my knot pry bars, knot punches. Well, shit.
Oh, careful there, bud.
Remember, it's not a pry bar or a punch. Maybe
Or
I
a
should-
chisel.
Yeah, that.
But they are lifetime warranty.
A little more trouble than the last one, but nothing we can't handle. So, here, get a clip of that. There's the next bushing. Obviously, there's rubber on there, so Bucci's going to clean those up for us. And now, the harder part is getting out these, would you quit? There's metal sleeves still in here. We need to get the metal sleeves out as well as the remaining rubber here. That is usually the hard part for people, so we are going to get at it. We just need to crush the sleeve enough that it kind of shrinks its size and we can tap it out. Oh fuck. That is why these are not pry bars, chisels, or punches, in case you were wondering. So guys, basically what I'm doing here is I'm trying to create a weak spot in this bushing race. We don't have a Sawzall, even though that'd be perfect, but we do have this hacksaw blade. So I'm going to try and, hopefully I don't need to do much to actually weaken the metal, and I should be able to split it with enough punching and chiseling and whatever else that I'm not supposed to be doing with screwdrivers. Hey, that's my ass. Okay. Well, I'm going to keep going at this for a little while. I'm sure I'll get tired. We will keep you updated, boys. Bucci taking paint off my back bumper again?
No.
On my other red Nissan? Nope. Buick strikes again. Alright, boys, we're going to try and catch this live on candid camera. We're getting this bushing out. Bam, son! Alright, that's one. Got another one. We'll be back. Mom, get the camera. You got it, Mom? Okay. So we sat here and sliced that outer race for a little bit longer this time. And we actually, I don't know if you got a clip of it, Nick, but I was actually using the hacksaw handle upside down like this in this motion. We had the blade pointing to the inside and I was able to do this. Worked great. Worked really great. So I'm just going to tap this out. Yes, that is what I was going for the first time. That is ideal. It's just that little slice makes the whole thing smaller, pops right out. All right, you tubulus. So we got this greased up, and remember how stiff these were? They're not going in by hand. So we've got this contraption, that's a good way to put it. We're basically gonna sandwich everything and crank it down with a nut, and hopefully it pulls it through straight. So yeah, let's give this a shot. It's kind of our only bet at this point, so it's gonna have to work. Oh, perfect fit. All right, so we came up with quite the contraption of things to use just because the bolt we have is a little long. But believe it or not, this, what size is this? 2.5-inch hole saw on the back is the perfect size to just sit on the subframe, the little ring in the subframe. And then we used this piece of a supercharger that got hole sawed out, about the same size actually. No, I guess it's the 3-inch. But this goes on the outside. And we just cranked the nut down and it pulled everything together. So we're just gonna go ahead and do it on the second one. We might have to clearance this spare tire well a little more, which is, it's whatever. All right, so we were just about to throw the diff in and I realized we never cleaned up this main key cross member. So we're gonna try and spray some of this. I mean, look at that. I just pulled that off my hands. We're gonna try and clean some of this up because I don't like putting dirty parts back on. All right, so we scraped most of the grease off of it. It looks a lot better than it did. So we're gonna go ahead and throw it back in. All right, so we've got our diff here on the jack. We've got it positioned pretty decent. Getting it out was a dance. We got it out, but it was kind of oddly specific how we had to, like, the flange was on the side, was on the other side of
of the sway bar, and then the tail could come down, and then we could lift up the front and bring it down. Like, it was weird. So we're gonna try to imitate that because it definitely won't just go straight up unless you take the sway bar down, and I don't feel like taking the sway bar down if we don't have to.
Don't crush your fingers.
Alright, so you guys will remember these cup washers. I don't know how well you can see these. Probably really awful in this light, actually. Let's put them over here. So these cup washers that we cleaned off earlier, these have to go on top of the bushings. It's very important so that they get clamped properly. So we're going to make sure that those get up on top of those front bushings. Here's your booch. And I just have to jack this up a little bit. We're going to start pulling it back. We already got our ABS sensors hooked back up. We did that while it was down because it would have been a pain otherwise. We just have to back the studs through this through these cups, run the nuts down, put the cross member on the front, and then drive shaft, and that's kind of it. All right, so we got the diff installed. We've got my 2 nuts up here. Got all 4 bolts on the cross member holding it in. So this thing is together. We are just bolting up our axles to our stub shafts here and our drive shaft, and then we can take her off the jacks. And I mean, if I really wanted, I could, you know, drive it, but we have more stuff to do before I can actually drive it. So we will update you when we're done. Oh, hey, didn't see you there. So we got our axles bolted in, and we got our drive shaft bolted up. Last thing, we're gonna put the exhaust back on, and we can drop her down. A little more. Oh God.
The same.
All right, so that is it. We would take you on a quick test drive, but there's a bunch of interior parts that are still out, and our battery's flat. We just tried to start it. So it's gonna have to wait till next time. But thanks for watching, guys. Go ahead and like if you liked. Leave a comment, please. It really helps us out. And subscribe if you want to see more. There's definitely lots more in store. We still got to do a timing belt, like I said. We still got to trace down a weird short that we're having in one of the circuits. So that would be a good video. And just some general maintenance. I mean, we're gonna do an oil change. We're gonna flush the coolant. Probably flush the brake fluid if we can. Stuff like that. So stay tuned, guys. Thanks for watching.